welcome to my channel, and welcome to the first episode of a series of videos that I'm going to be doing on the keto diet. If you're thinking about doing the ketogenic diet, the keto diet, and you feel like you don't have the right guidance and you're looking for the right guidance, if you feel like you don't have the right tools and you're looking for the right tools, if you feel or if you would like to make sure that you don't feel like you're doing this alone, and just kind of have like that accountability, that help from the very first moment that you start doing your first keto meal all the way until you have your last keto meal and you reach your goal and you transition off of it, then this series is definitely for you. Now, if you're somebody that has done keto in the past, and you feel like, or you're in the middle of doing keto and you want to optimize your plan, you want to make sure you're doing everything right, make sure that if you're accidentally self-sabotaging, because that happens a lot with the keto diet, unconscious self-sabotaging, this series is meant for you. I'm going to be covering a lot of details, a lot of how-tos, a lot of what not to do, so a lot of myths, a lot of the fallbacks on keto, and just sample meal plans. So if you want to make sure that you get the best out of the series, one thing that I would recommend is make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when I upload the next videos, which is going to be in the next couple of days and throughout the next couple of weeks. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a whole series of keto videos, going from the very first step all the way till the end. It's going to be about 8 or 9 episodes, probably 10. But again, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notifications button to make sure that you get notified. Today's episode, it's pretty basic, it's pretty simple, hence the title, what to expect and how to mentally prepare on keto, which is probably one of the most important things you can do before you start the ketogenic diet, because a lot of people just read about keto and they start eating bacon, cheese, and eggs, and then they think that's it without knowing what some of the loopholes, what some of the problems might be. So this video is just meant to kind of help you prepare for it, and just make sure that that you are ready for keto, and you know what to expect, more importantly. So we all know that keto is a great diet for weight loss, especially if you're somebody with PCOS, endometriosis, type 2 diabetes, lupus, perimenopause, gluten allergies, and just overall, it's a fantastic diet to give yourself a break while still seeing the results that you want. It's a fantastic way to break plateaus. If you're stuck, if you've been doing a certain diet, let's say a low carb diet, and things don't seem to be working, keto is a great way to break that plateau and just kind of get out of the mud and then just continue moving forward and give your body something different, because sometimes that's what our bodies need. Our bodies just need some unpredictability, because sometimes our body can be our worst enemy when it comes to weight loss or fat loss, because the body wants to quickly adapt. So if you're listening and you have been doing the same plan for the last 2 or 3 months and it stopped working for you, or even longer than that, because you can go 4 or 5 months and say that you've been doing something for 5, 6, 7 months and you're stuck. That's your body adapting to the calorie deficit, adapting to the calories you're eating, to the types of food that you're eating. So keto not only is it great for all those populations that I mentioned, but it's also really good if you're stuck and you want to change it up. Personally, I do keto once or twice a year, depending on my mood that year. Currently, I am doing keto. I'm on week 2 of keto, and being completely transparent, the only reason I do keto is because I love it. I love bacon and I love avocados, almonds, and dark chocolate. It gives me a good break from carbs, and it does help me tremendously, toning up, just to cut a little bit of body fat. It's fantastic. For me, it's more of a break, and like I said, I do it once or twice a year, and I would recommend that you do as well. So even if you don't want to do keto as a lifestyle, which I'm gonna start the series by saying this, keto should not be a lifestyle. If you want to make it a lifestyle, there's absolutely nothing wrong with keto. It's one of the things that I'm going to cover in later episodes, like the myths of keto. You know, there's a lot of myths out there about, you know, heart problems, etc., etc., you know, kidneys. I'm going to cover all of that. There's nothing wrong. It's totally okay to do keto if you want to do it as a lifestyle, but you should at least have it as a tool. It's a fantastic tool to have under your belt in case, you know, I tell my clients, you know, once they reach their goal, once they've lost 50 pounds, hey, you know, check the scale at least once every 3 months, just to have that accountability. And, you know, let's say that you're falling off a little bit off the tracks. It's a great way to like tune up, essentially, to to help you with your maintenance goal. If you want to, like I said, if you want to make it a lifestyle, you can, but it's a fantastic tool to have. And I think that anybody that goes through a weight loss journey, personal thoughts is they should learn keto and they should have it under their belt as a tool. Now, what is keto? So keto, you know, just a little bit of history. Keto actually started as a treatment for children with epilepsy, and it started as a treatment to help them reduce the seizures of the epilepsy. It later, you know, grew into a big thing where they noticed that there were body composition changes, and it later turned into, you know, spread around that it worked as a fat loss diet. Now, keto's been around since the beginning of time, but it started to get popularity once people, you know, started seeing those crazy results of fat loss, which is what I'm going to get to here in a minute and how that works. But, you know, when they treated the patients with epilepsy, the children with epilepsy, keto, it was crazy because the ratio of fat to everything else was ridiculous. So the ratio was 90% fat. Think about that: 90% fat, 8% protein, 2% carbs or less. Now, I can't even imagine, you know, if I had to, you know, create a meal plan for somebody like that, it would just pretty much be butter and oil all day, right? It would just be, it's crazy how much fat that we're eating. But, you know, with the, the true, or not the true, but the nutritional ketosis that it's popular nowadays, which is what I call nutritional ketosis, that falls more into the 70 to 75% fat, 20 to 25% protein, and 5% carbs or less, which is what your macros are going to be, and I'm going to get to that into the next video. But keto essentially is 75% fat, 70% if you want to have a little bit of flexibility, 20 to 25% protein, and 5% or less carbs. So your calories should be falling within that particular parameter, right? So how does keto work? One of the biggest concerns that I hear a lot is, well, you know, if I'm eating all this fat, am I not gonna get fat? And the answer is not as simple as yes or no, because calories still matter. Now, if you are eating keto and you're eating 2,000 calories above your maintenance, yes, you are not gonna lose weight, because calories in, calories out still matters. It's a principle. It's a law of thermodynamics. It's energy in, energy out. It's the way that it counts. So yeah, so am I not gonna get fat? No, you're not gonna get fat. As long as you keep your calories low, you're creating a calorie deficit, you are going to lose weight, you are gonna lose body fat, your body is gonna change. Now, from a personal personal anecdote, from clients that I worked with in the past, here's one thing that I have found, and here's why I advocate keto tremendously. And it kind of contradicts this idea of calories in, calories out to a degree, okay? If you, let's say that your maintenance is 1,800 calories and you're eating 1,400 to lose weight, which is a realistic deficit. With a high carb, medium carb diet, you know, you're gonna drop weight for 100 calorie deficit, sure. If you're doing keto and you're doing the same deficit, 1,400 calories, 400 calorie deficit, what I have found is that with keto, you are going to lose weight at a faster rate, and you're gonna lose fat, and your composition is gonna change a little bit quicker, if not a lot more quick. Again, this is coming from what I have seen with clients that I worked with, you know, over the years, in my personal experience. So that's one of the reasons why I advocate keto tremendously. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, you know, like the metabolic change, kind of like what I said in the beginning, your body doing something completely different, environment. You could actually be doing less calories than what you think because you're feeling a lot fuller with keto. But, you know, keto definitely has a big benefit, that the calories in, calories out, seems to be a little bit diluted in that particular area. Not that calories in, calories out doesn't count. And again, it's one of those myths that I'm going to cover more in detail in one of the later episodes. But yeah, so essentially, keto is, you're training your body to use fat for fuel. When your body uses fat for fuel, essentially, they go into the liver, and the liver converts them into ketones, which is where the name keto comes from. So ketones are essentially three salts that your body produces and uses for energy. One of the main ones is beta hydroxybutyrate, and I'm not gonna go into that because that's just going down a rabbit hole, a big explanation. But essentially, your body is producing ketones as a byproduct of fat, and ketones are your main source of energy, and that's when you become fat adapted and then keto adapted, and then you start losing fat at an exponential and fast rate. And kind of going on that, if you want to see those exponential quick results, here's one thing that I want you to prepare for. If you're gonna start keto, or you've done keto in the past and you feel like it hasn't worked for you, there's a big commitment that you have to make to yourself, and it's the following. You have to do keto for a minimum of 6 weeks with no carbs, no cheats, just straight keto for at least 6 weeks. I want you to think of the ketogenic diet and the word momentum as two things that work together. Keto works on momentum, momentum works on keto. Because think about what you're doing here. You're switching your metabolism from a carb. You're used to using carbs for energy, right? And then you create a deficit, then you start to slowly burn fat. Weight loss happens, right? With keto, you're immediately bypassing the carbs. You're now using fat for fuel. So guess what? Your body is getting prepared to continue losing fat exponentially. So if you have a break where you bring in the carbs and you say, you know what, a cup of rice isn't gonna hurt me, a cookie isn't gonna hurt me, some sugar isn't gonna hurt me, you are undoing not the hard work that you've put in, because that's a very bold statement to say, but you are gonna be undoing that momentum, and you're gonna be, it's almost like you're gonna be resetting, and yes, you can still see results from that. Definitely you can, especially if you are creating a calorie deficit. You're definitely gonna see results, but guess what? You're not gonna see those amazing, crazy body transformation results that you want to see, because it's almost like you're telling your body fat, use fat, psych, carbs, psych again, carbs, fat. So you're confusing your body, and you could even take longer to get into ketosis if you're doing this. So if you're doing, like I said, you're doing fat, and then 2 weeks in you do carbs because you gave in, and then you start again, you continue doing that, don't be wondering why it didn't work for you. Because again, it's like I said, it's like a psych. Like psych, yeah, we're doing keto psych. So make sure that, you do make that commitment. And that can be a little bit overwhelming at first, because it's one of those things where somebody tells you you're gonna be doing this for 6 weeks and nothing else. And I get it, there's a psychology behind, you want what you can't have, and you can't have carbs. So it's gonna be difficult, but it's gonna be worth it. And you do have to be prepared. You do have to be mentally prepared for those 6 weeks to make that commitment. And I promise you, it's not that hard to go 6 weeks without carbs. No matter how much you love bread, how much you love tortillas, beans, rice, some of the higher sugar fruits, it's easy. You can do it, but you do have to make that commitment so that your body can see the best benefits. And then after that, you can do cyclical keto, which like I said, those are things that I can cover later. But again, don't be that person who says they do keto Monday through Friday, then Saturday and Sunday they eat carbs, and then they wonder why keto doesn't work. So all those little details, like I said, will be covered. But the main point right now is, can you mentally prepare yourself for 6 weeks of keto commitment? Because if you can't, it's probably not gonna work for you, and it's not gonna get you the results that you want. But if you can, it's totally worth it. It's gonna be one of the best commitments you've ever made for yourself. 6 weeks minimum. Challenge yourself. Can you do it for 6 weeks? I'm sure you can, but make sure you challenge yourself if you feel like it's something that sounds difficult. But I know you can do it, which is why you're watching this video in the first place. When I know everything about keto, it's one of the first things they'll tell you, 6-week commitment. Nonetheless, so mental preparation. The initial body response is your body goes through a couple of changes, of course, because you're going from this, carb source to fat. So obviously, if you're switching from going from carb to fat, your body's gonna start to dump carbs and water. So, when you're dumping carbs, you're also dumping a lot of water, which is, where a lot of people see this big, the first 3 days, you'll notice that you hear these people that lose, if you've experienced it or you're going to experience it, you're going to lose, again, I don't want to throw a number because everybody's different, your weight, varies with this number, but you could lose anywhere between 3 to 7 pounds of pure water weight. And not to be confused with body fat, but you are going to lose plenty of water weight. Now, when you are dumping a lot of water weight, when you're dumping a lot of carbs, you are also going to lose a lot of electrolytes. So if you've heard of the term Keto Flu, then I think you know exactly where I'm going. If you haven't, Keto Flu is a term that is very often used that describes the following symptoms. So these symptoms include lethargy, extreme tiredness, headaches, joint pains. Some of the less common ones that are not really associated with the keto flu are more like a Jolly Rancher type of breath. Urine smells kind of sweet. So you're used to eating carbs your whole life, or you've done carbs for most of your life. Do expect these things. Again, everybody's different. Some people don't experience anything at all. Some people experience it harder. But there are ways to prevent those initial body responses, initial body side effects from keto. And like all of those things happen within the first 7 days. If it doesn't happen to you by the 7th or 8th day, you're most likely not going to experience anything, because like I said, everybody's different. Your body may not experience it, your body may adapt pretty well to it, but there are ways that you can prevent it. And one of the main ones, and this is a big one with anything that you do, not just with keto, but especially now with keto, is you want to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You want to drink at least 1 gallon of water a day while you're doing keto, because again, you're going to be dumping a lot of water. With that water, you're going to be losing a lot of electrolytes. So you want to replenish your fluids. So it's very important that you're drinking at least 1 gallon of water a day. And what sounds kind of counterintuitive is, if you're dehydrated, your body tends to retain water because it wants to hold on to fluids. So if you're dehydrated, you're more likely to experience those symptoms that I just described, but you're also more likely to not see quick results, and you're more likely to feel inflammation, feel bloated, because your body's not working properly, because it's just retaining fluid. You might feel puffy. So make sure that you are drinking plenty of water, not just the first 7 days, but all throughout keto. And in order to prevent or mitigate as much of those side effects that I mentioned previously, here are the things that you're gonna need, and these are a must-have. You must have them. You can't not have them when you start keto or even during keto. So the first one are gonna be supplements, and those are gonna be magnesium and potassium tablets. You gotta have those. You have to have those and take them every morning or every night, but make sure that you're taking magnesium and potassium tablets to make sure that you are replenishing the electrolytes that you're losing. Sodium, you're gonna get it through salt. So make sure that you are putting extra salt on your meals. My recommendation is make sure that you get the Himalayan pink salt, and you're adding at least half a tablespoon of salt throughout the day. And that's gonna help you, replenish some of the sodium that you're gonna be losing. Again, some people are gonna experience those side effects, the fatigue, the headaches, a little bit stronger than other people will, just because, like I said, everybody's different, but you might be putting out more electrolytes than you're putting in, but at least that's gonna help. Now, if you're noticing that the symptoms are not going away, then up the salt a little bit more, up the magnesium and potassium a little bit more. Make sure that you are, drinking plenty of water, and get yourself a multivitamin. Make sure that you do get yourself a multivitamin. because again, you should be getting, a lot of your vitamins and minerals from all the veggies that you're gonna eat on keto, which again I'll get into the next video. But get yourself a multivitamin just for prevention, and all of those things are gonna be mitigated if not eliminated. As I mentioned in the beginning, I do keto once a year, twice a year. I've noticed that my symptoms are less every time just because I take better precautions than what I did from the very beginning, and you should do the same thing. You're gonna notice, if you've done keto before, then you're gonna notice if you're taking the magnesium, potassium, you're eating extra salt, you're taking a multivitamin, you're drinking plenty of water, you are going to notice that you're less tired, you have less headaches, less fatigue, the Jolly Rancher sweet breath that you just brush your teeth, I guess. Your pee isn't gonna taste as sweet. I'm totally joking. It's not gonna smell as sweet. It's not gonna smell as sweet. But yeah, so you can totally mitigate those. Those side effects if you take those precautions. Another big thing that for prevention is you don't want to work out the initial phases of keto. If you love the gym, great, but you do have to take a pause during those first 7 days. Even if you are taking those precautions that I'm telling you, you don't know how your body is going to react in the sense of how much electrolyte is going to lose, how much fluid is going to lose. So you don't want to be pushing yourself hard. Those first 7 days, your focus should be on getting into ketosis, getting your groceries, getting all the foods, getting prepared. The first week should be no working out. Once you feel that, okay, I've bypassed any possible headaches, fatigue, lethargy, mental, that's another one, mental fogginess, that's another one that happens a lot, is you might feel a little bit, less, you're thinking less clearly. Once you notice that those things have passed, then go back to the gym. But I would say a good rule of thumb is 7 days. Some people, they can do it after 3 days, after 5 days. Again, on just a little bit of a personal note, when I first started keto, the first time I did keto about 5 years ago, stupid arrogant, I, knew about keto. Of course, I was helping clients with it, but, I thought I would try it. And I remember third or fourth day, I went to the gym, and I was feeling a little bit tired, I was feeling it, but my body hadn't fully gotten rid of the carbs in the water. And I think that when I went that day and I pushed myself, it was so bad that I almost passed out. And now I know it was because of, lack of water, lack of electrolytes, vitamins. I was weak, my joints were hurting. That's another thing you might notice is your joints might hurt a little bit. But keto, if you do it properly, again, more videos coming up on that, it should be a very good diet for anti-inflammation. But yeah, so my joints were hurting. It was terrible. So don't do the same mistake that I did. Make sure you do give yourself that break from the gym. And I am not saying these things to try to scare you or just try to talk you out of doing keto. No, still do it. These are just things to be, just taking a precaution. And pretty much everybody goes through this. Everybody goes through the electrolyte loss, the carb loss, water loss. All of that is common. Like I said, it's just going to hit some people harder. It might not even hit you at all, like I said previously. And if it does hit you, it's going to go away. As long as you you continue drinking plenty of water, you're eating your vegetables, you continue, your multivitamin, magnesium, potassium, salt, all those things that I just talked about. And one last thing that, I just remembered is, adding on to that, there's you might have other small side effects that, I've heard even like loss of taste for a couple of days, just like weird little ones. The keto rash tends to be kind of common, but don't be alarmed. One thing that I found with the keto rash is that, it usually happens to appear in like the upper chest area, but it does go away in a couple of days. If it doesn't go away, here's what I found with the keto rash. If you do happen to be one of those, rare cases that has keto rash, is, with the keto rash, what you want to do is you want to stop keto, take a break from keto for a couple of weeks, and then start it again. Again, what I have found, and working with my clients, is anytime that happens, stop keto, take a keto rash, take a break. Second time around we do keto, the rash just doesn't appear at all. And again, that could just be just like a primary reaction from your body just changing, and then the second time it's just used to it, so it's not gonna happen. So again, there might be little side effects, but nothing to be alarmed. You definitely, of course, if there's something that is alarming, something that persists, definitely go see your doctor or stop keto immediately. But again, it's just very, very rare that something like that would happen. Now, as far as keto, when you start keto, there's two ways that you can kind of get into it, and just gonna briefly touch on those, which is you can either just jump into it or you can transition into it. And transitioning into it, I would recommend it more if it's your first time doing keto. If you've never done a low carb diet, if you have done a low carb diet before, keto before, you can just jump into it. But if you've never in your life done any sort of low carb dieting before, what you want to do is you want to prepare for 5 days, and it's very easy. And in the next video, when I talk about the foods and how to set up your plan, that's something that I'll talk about a little more in detail. But for 5 days, essentially, what you're gonna do is you're gonna lower your carbs and up your fats. So day one, if you're used to eating 150 grams of carb, on day one, do 150. Day two, do 125. Day three, do 100. Day four, do 50. Day five, 25. And then on the sixth day, that's when you go full on keto. And then on the same days that you're also, lowering your carbs, you also want to up your fats, because you kind of want to make up for the calories that you're dropping in carbs, and adding those fats so that your body is getting used to the, it's getting fat adapted. And obviously, take the precautions from those 5 days, from day 1 through 5 before day 6, and start taking the magnesium, potassium, and everything else that I just talked about. So if you're just jumping into it, as long as you take those precautions, you're gonna be okay. And there are supplements out there, the exogenous ketones, that you can find at pretty much any supplement store. My take on that is it can or it can't make a difference, and I personally think it's just more mental, because with exogenous ketones, they're ultimately what they're doing is they're just speeding up the process. And for some people they can work. For some people they don't even do anything. It's kind of like with creatine. If you're familiar with creatine, when you first start taking creatine, there's what's called a loading phase, where for the first 5 days you take 10 grams, and then on the 6th day and on you only take 5 grams. So the point of the loading phase is so that you can get to the so you can have the creatine levels saturated in your muscles a lot quicker. But if you just start off with 5 grams, eventually, the paths are gonna cross eventually. Eventually, there's like no big advantage to that. There's no long-term advantage. There's no, you're gonna get the upper hand. So with exogenous ketones, it's the same thing. You're eventually gonna start producing your own ketones. So if it puts you at peace of mind, I do recommend it that you get the exogenous ketones. They come in powder form or in tablet form, and they're not really that expensive, so you can just get them anywhere and start from day one. And again, I've had mixed reviews with exogenous ketones. And when I say mixed, it's usually it's good. They did help me. I didn't feel the side effects, but then that could have just been their body not gonna feel the side effects anyways. And then I've had people tell me they didn't really help at all. So again, I think it's just more important that you just follow the guidelines, everything that we've talked about today, and then that you do keto properly. Now, I've talked about a lot of the the prevention, how to get mentally prepared. Well, what are some of the benefits that you are going to experience? Once you've gone through some of the the rough patches the first couple of days, and you've gone through the keto flu, you're ready, you made the commitment for 6 weeks, you know that you're going to do it. What are some of the things that you can expect? Well, as I talked about in the beginning of the video, weight loss is a big one. So you are going to experience, obviously, is fat loss, body composition, as long as you stick with it. One of the things that, and this is like really researched, and there's a lot of data out there that shows this one, which is you tend to be a little bit sharper and like with your thinking. You're essentially your mental clarity is one of the big ones on keto. Is see, even I just started keto, obviously hasn't hit me yet. But yeah, no, it's mental clarity. It's going to be a big one. You're going to start, you're going to think sharper. You're going to be more creative. It's just going to be your thinking that's going to be enhanced. So that's a big one too. It's just that mental thinking, that mental, brightness. And another thing that you can expect, besides weight loss and mental clarity, the enhanced mental clarity, is bowel movements are going to be much better. And what I do want to tell you is what you are going to experience is you are going to be going to the bathroom less frequently. So you're going to be going to the bathroom less frequently, but you shouldn't be alarmed. So what does that mean? It means that you're not going to be constipated, but your bowel movements are going to be reduced in frequency. So when that does happen to you, if you're used to going every day and now you're going every other day or every 3 days or every 5 days, as long as you're able to go, you're going to be okay. There's a big difference between being constipated and not being able to go. If you're constipated, if you want to go to the bathroom and you can't go, that's different. Okay, that's where you need to up your water, add a little bit of fiber, maybe a little bit of psyllium husk, or eat a couple more vegetables. Then that's different than, okay, I'm going every 5 days but I can't go. So that's another one. Being fuller is another thing that you are going to experience. Fats are very satiating. There's for 1 gram of fat there's 9 calories. So personally, and with all my clients that that end up doing keto, they usually after week 3 or week 4, keto becomes very convenient because they only want to eat 2 meals a day. They only want to eat the 2 meals a day because 1 or 2 meals just does it for them. And the wonderful thing about keto, it's one of those, it's the one diet where you can't skip meals, because if let's say that you skip breakfast and lunch and you just want to go straight to dinner, you're drinking water, you're staying hydrated throughout the day, essentially what your body is having for breakfast and lunch is its own body fat. So you can't skip meals on this diet because you might feel fuller, you might feel more satisfied. By no means am I saying that you should be skipping meals if you are hungry, but you are gonna get to that point where you're like, I'm okay with 1 meal as long as that meal is keto, because you don't want to make the mistake of you get so into the routine of like, I'm only eating 1 meal, and then you're only eating a chicken breast and broccoli. That's not a keto meal. You need 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 ounces of fatty chicken or a chicken breast, and then your vegetables. That's keto right there. So make sure that if you are skipping meals, because you're going to be fuller, that your meals are keto friendly. And I will say this too, speaking about convenience, keto is a very easy diet to, if you're a busy person, it's very convenient, it's very easy to eat out. On another personal anecdote from a client, I have a client who's a truck driver, and had it not been for keto, it would have been very hard for him to lose weight, because it's just very hard for him to cook or to stop at places and be modifying this and that. Whereas we make everything keto, we just follow the guidelines, it's easier to order. So you are gonna find that with keto, it's gonna be very convenient to eat out. If you're a busy person, stick to cooking and preparing your meals and meal prepping. But I am letting you know, one of the advantages is, if you happen to have a busy week, you can definitely get away with getting a naked burger, going to a breakfast place and just getting bacon and egg sausage, a fajita bowl, going to Chipotle, getting one of the bowls without beans and rice and everything else, going to a sub place and getting a salad with the ranch, the cheese, the ham, all of that stuff. So the convenience factor is, it's just one of those, extra bonuses that that you are going to experience, or that you could experience. There are some other extra things too, just like with the side effects, there are these weird side effects. It's the same thing with some other extra benefits I've noticed, or some people have told me that their skin is, just shines a little bit more. That could just be, the extra vegetables that they're eating. The anti-inflammation is another one. There's an array of benefits that you are going to experience as well. Those are the main ones. The weight loss, the better bowel movements, more energy. sharper thinking, and the convenience. Those are just probably the main ones. But like I said, there might be other little ones that you could be experiencing. And just to wrap up the first episode, I do want to leave you with have faith in keto. If you are thinking about doing it, if you're a little bit unsure, have faith in it. Go dive into it with a positive attitude. That's just very, very important. And believe that it's gonna work, because it is gonna work. Okay? I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you are somebody that's tried it before and it hasn't worked for you in the past. Make sure that you watch the series, and I promise you that you are gonna find the answers of why it hasn't worked for you in the past. And if it's your first time, I know it can be overwhelming, because when you first start doing keto, you're eating all these fatty foods, you're eating all these let's be honest, very delicious things, very tasty things that it's no surprise that you're wondering, like, how am I losing weight eating like this? How am I losing weight eating cheese and butter and bacon and eggs and almonds and dark chocolate? How could it be possible to be losing weight? Like I said, it all comes down to increasing your fats. As long as the big factor here is you completely eliminate your carbs and you have your macro set up properly, which is we're gonna be talking about in episode 2. It is gonna work for you. So I know it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, but once you see the results coming in, you are gonna be a believer. And this happens very often, where I have I'm often throughout this video I quoted a lot of my clients' experiences, but one of the big ones is when they start keto is they tell me, it's like, how am I supposed to be losing weight? And I just go through the same explanation again, where I just got to a point where I told them, just have faith in it, follow it. If you do it 100%, you'll see. 2 weeks later, they're excited, they're loving it, they've lost 10 pounds in 3 weeks, or whatever. They've lost a good amount of weight, they're loving it. They went through the Keto Flu, they're feeling better energy levels, sharper thinking, like they're noticing the changes. It really just comes down to, if you're a little bit doubtful and you want to start it, just have faith in it. Have faith in it. Be positive that it is gonna work. And that's about it for episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 2. Episode 2 is gonna be, helping you set up your foods for keto. It's just gonna be a kind of a breaking down the top foods for keto, how just like a basic way of how you can put those foods together. And then I did mention in the middle of the video, transitioning, slowly, or just jumping into it. So that's gonna we're gonna go more into detail with that as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, and again, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification button so that you can get notified for when the next video comes up, which should be in the next couple of days. And every 3-4 days I'm gonna have a new video up. Like I said, it's a whole series that I'm gonna be planning on doing to make sure that you guys that you get the best out of it with keto. So I will see you in the next episode.